Here's some stocks that I'm looking into. I'll pop pictures of their ticker symbols and their 5-year graph up on the screen for you. All of these pay a dividend except one of them that I'm going to talk to you really briefly at the end. So first and foremost is one that if you watch any dividend video, you talk to any, you look into any of the top dividend paying companies that are somewhat reliable. I'm not talking about like the unreliable dividend companies that are like 10% plus. But this is one that's always on the list, AT&T. It pays a dividend of about 7.04 currently, and is somewhat, one of the companies that I'm looking into. Now I'm gonna flash through all these, really fast. But like I said, always do your due diligence. Just because I'm bringing these up doesn't mean that I'm invested in these companies. In fact, there are only 3, sometimes 4. I'll sometimes buy and hold another one and sometimes sell it depending on other things. But there are usually only 3 or 4 stocks in my dividend portfolio that I 100% believe in. So keep that in mind. I'm gonna recommend maybe 15 of them. That does not mean that I buy all of these. They're just something that I have my eye on. Look at the balance sheet. Do your homework on these companies, and don't just take my word for the fact that I'm looking into them as an indicator that you should buy them. So AT&T, a great, dividend payer, and has been a great dividend payer for honestly for a while now. Currently sitting at 31.18. That might change depending on when I take the picture, but that's that. Next is its competitor directly, Verizon, and Verizon pays a dividend yield of 4.24%, so also relatively high. I really like Verizon. I think it's a better company than AT&T. Doesn't pay, a lot. I also half like the investment in general. It doesn't pay as high of a dividend, but it's definitely a company you should look into. Now, next we're gonna move on to Walmart. Walmart pays a dividend yield of 2.17% a year. Now, I feel like I'm one of the only people that genuinely believes in Walmart. The reason being, I think it's a good long-term play. I think it's undervalued right now. This is just my opinion. And I'm not actually invested in Walmart, although I have bought shares of Walmart stock in the past. I do think that it's very undervalued right now, and I definitely think that if there was one company, just one, that could compete with Amazon, it would be Walmart. They have the distribution, they have the scale, and they have, the stores. And for lack of, getting too political or, getting into my opinion on why, I definitely think they're recession proof. So if the recession hits in the next 2 or 3 years, I think that they're recession proof because a lot of their stores are in lower economic, or economically challenged areas. So the people that shop there for groceries and stuff like that will be still, shopping there for groceries because it's close and it's easy. Now, that's just my opinion. Doesn't mean that it's true, but that's how I feel about the company. Next one is Apple. It's a great stock that you should look into. I think it's very undervalued at about 174.72 right now. It pays a dividend yield a little bit low of 1.2%. However, I think it's very undervalued and it's a very, very great company. And if I remember correctly, the balance sheet is pretty solid. Next one's one that I absolutely love and I highly recommend that you look into. It pays a dividend yield of 1.7%, and that is Microsoft. Look at Microsoft's graph right here and tell me that's not the most consistent, growth of a company that you've seen in the past 5 years. That pretty much is a straight line, straight up. It's not straight line, but it's pretty much a diagonal line straight up. There's not that much volatility. Very, very, very impressive. Like I said, always do your due diligence, but I love myself some Microsoft. Next is Disney. Disney pays a dividend yield of 1.44%, currently sitting at about a little bit over 113 bucks. Next would be Starbucks. We're just gonna roll through these ones fast because I don't wanna break down each one individually too much. Starbucks pays a dividend yield of 2.22% currently. It's sitting a little bit above $71 right now. Another one's Procter & Gamble. I love Procter & Gamble. That's Warren Buffett's company. Currently paying a dividend of 3.57%, currently sitting a little bit under 100 bucks. Visa is another great one, pays a low dividend, but it's a pretty reliable company as well. Currently sitting at 146.21, pays a dividend yield of only 0.55%. Also has a graph, if you look at it over the past 5 years, of a company that's just grown consistently, just like Microsoft. Now, the next one is Nike. Nike pays a dividend yield of 1.09%. And like I said, guys, check out all these graphs. If you want to slow them down, you can check them all out yourselves. The graph doesn't tell everything. The PE ratio doesn't tell everything. So the price per earnings ratio, obviously, is what I'm referring to there. Doesn't tell everything. It can be an indicator of a value play, or a value, which stocks are undervalued and which stocks are overvalued relative to other companies. But it doesn't mean everything. Look into the company, look into the balance sheet, and do your due diligence. Boeing, another great one. It's pretty expensive, you know, not up to the Amazon expensive scale, but sitting at $427.60 currently, pays a dividend yield of about 2.12%. I know Boeing has a lot of deals, you know, with the Air Force and stuff like that. So safe's a bad word, but that's a stock you might want to look into. Adidas, and obviously guys, if you know anything about these companies that I might not know or anything like that, let me know down in the comment section below your take on each or any of these individual companies. I'd love to hear from you, because they are all companies that I'm looking into myself. Adidas, another one, so 1.16%, currently sitting at a little bit under 120 bucks. Experian is another one, $26.90, currently paying a dividend yield of 191. Coca-Cola is the next one, sitting at $44.85, one of Warren Buffett and Procter & Gamble's highest invested companies, currently paying a dividend yield of 3.29%. The last one that I'm going to give you as an example is Bank of America, also sitting at around $30, a little bit under, pays a dividend yield of 2.19%. So those are just ones that I recommend looking into. The only reason I'm doing this is because people always ask me, okay, what stocks are you looking into? Insert, you know, stock market question here. These are the ones that I'm always looking into. These are not necessarily the ones that I'm invested in or not invested in, but they're just ones that I have my eye on and are on my watch list. Now, another one that's on my watch list, Tesla. I think Tesla is very, very, very undervalued right now. I see it a little bit under 300 right now. It doesn't pay a dividend yield. However, I know that Tesla's been developing a lot of different stuff. It's about to launch heavy into cars once it gets its Chinese factory fully operational, and it just bought a company recently within like the past 2 weeks that is like one of the best battery companies in the world. So even as we move forward into this, you know, this electric car kind of manufacturing technology in the next decade or maybe half decade, Tesla owns all the best batteries now. They own the best manufacturer of batteries. That means that even if they don't sell Tesla cars, other car companies that are manufacturing electric cars will buy Tesla batteries. So they win whether they sell you a car or not. Furthermore, they have autonomous driving, so literally automatic driving cars. You know, check out some Tesla YouTube if you haven't already. It's pretty cool. They have autonomous driving trucks, which are going to replace basically railroads, and they're going to replace the whole trucking industry. You can basically, you know, have a truck. You don't have to pay a truck driver $90,000 a year. It's cheaper with the autonomous trucks, and it's also cheaper than the railroad per mile. Do some research. I don't actually own Tesla right now, still doing a lot of research, as you can tell, but I definitely think it's something that you should look into. And I think it's very, very undervalued, very volatile stock. So if you can't tolerate volatility, don't go Tesla. But I think, you know, it's one of those companies that could just balloon and blow up, you know, in the next like half decade, kind of like to an Amazon level, honestly. And I don't say that lightly. There aren't many companies that I think could do that. Sketchy balance sheet, so if you're doing your due diligence, full warning, but definitely a company I think that you should look into and do some more due diligence on. But that's just stocks that I'm looking into in general for my portfolio.